Hey guys, my name's Robert. So welcome to the session here. Again, apologize we don't have the PowerPoint up yet. Technical. But the background of this is, we see a lot of crypto native NFT play out there that is quite successful so far in the last 2 years. But what we saw is something that we should really be looking at. It's also the non-crypto background of the community here. And we've spent a lot of time in the last 2 years looking at that and say, hey, look, with the technology that we've been seeing out there must be a pretty good solution for a lot of creators out there that is waiting to enjoy the community and enjoy the same treatment as the crypto native does. So we basically created a platform called MADworld to handle the situation. In fact, MAD is a joint venture company with Animoca because we saw the need to look at the holistic view of how the total creators work. If we look at the current market today, I think we can safely say that about the user base, if we look at the crypto world, probably 80, 90 million of the users are there, and about probably 35 to 40 million NFT users out there. But that leaves majority of the community out there on traditional creators world, pretty much alone. We figured out that is a much bigger stage that we could address the situation here. So therefore, it's quite important that we really have a solution that addresses that. And in particular, we saw a pretty interesting scenario for the creativity that's being done out there in the current world. In fact, we have addressed the solution by really speaking to the manga and the anime world to begin with, to test trial this hypothesis. Interestingly enough, here goes the PowerPoint. Thank you. Now, all I need is a switch to slides. Well, here goes. Someone's doing that for me. We just talked about this, and Web2 and social media is where the whole beginning of the creators economy has begun. And every one of us, I think, here pretty much are aware of the folks like YouTube, the folks like TikTok that's making a big headway into the world right now. Every one of them is multi-billion-dollar attractive, but we think that there's a better way on that. Whoops, can you go back to the previous slide? No, back, not forward. One more slide back. Yeah, okay. So we think that the opportunity, thank you. Okay. We think that the opportunity is really about, how do we use Web3 to really take care of the creators economy. Unlike where the Web2 is, it's pretty lopsided on the current situation. Most of the platform, as you know, has dictated the creators economy there. And then again, in the last 2 years, a lot of the crypto native folks have shown that, Web3 world or NFT world is the best way to reward the community and also the creators. As part of the Animoca group, Board Apes and some of other folks have shown the power of the creativity and the ownership as well as the economic power of the whole thing. So what about everyone else that we're looking at other than the blue chips and NFT guys at this point? We think this is where we should be making more focus in. Last but not the least, we think the creativity, the entertainment, and most important is the ownership that matters most of the time here. This is an important one. I mean, there's a couple of fun facts that, before we go into this. I'm not sure an average anime person in the real world, not the crypto native world, basically earns about $2 per drawing. And that takes it to about, on an average, $700 per month of earnings, and overall. And that's a pretty amazing statistics that it's not in too good of a shape at this point. And we also have another set of data that shows us that the culture out there is quite large. I think leading by Japan, we figured that there's about 75% of the consumers are, anime and comic readers. But at the same time, if you look at US, we actually hit 70% of the consumer base that actually enjoys comics and anime as well. So that is a much larger population than we've ever tried to understand. And these are some of the cases that we felt that moving forward, a lot of the cultural element and creators are really connected in everything that we do. And we want to make sure that the ecosystem is being handled accordingly. So I think with MADworld, what we've done is we really focus on the connectedness that we talked about, on how we want to tie up all the creative culture and the cultural spaces. At the same time, we think that the fandom and the fan experience with these creative culture, it's going to be part of the tokenization economy that is very important to the whole ecosystem. We have purposely selected some of the best representation at this point to illustrate, what some of the major players can do, so that we can make sure that a lot of these long-tail and independent artists can also follow the path from here. Now, what we do then for these ecosystem is we have created a list of products initially to drive the value and the utility up for the creators. Again, we have something called the digital battles in process. It's a very interesting format whereby two creators would have 20 minutes on the fly, and they will be connected by either random or selected theme so that they can generate an output within that 20 minutes. Then finally, there will be judge and communities to give votes to see who has a better outcome from there. Once that is done, we're able to do the minting and also auctions, for these products. At the same time, we've also provided a lot of marketplaces access, including our own. Obviously, they can, put their stuff onto OpenSeas, etc. So it's quite active. At the same time, we have done quite a bit of gamification for these outputs to be embedded in, such as card packs or what we call blind packs, so that they can generate more revenue out of their creativity from there. In addition, because we are part of the sort of a creators world, we think that a lot of these creators today also have physical products that they bundle together with the output of the NFT arrangement. So we would be able to facilitate the arrangement with the ecosystem as well. Last but not the least, I think it will be very interesting because the fact that we are also part of the Animal group, some of the metaverse connectivity is also quite important for us. So some of the artists might choose to or have fan base in Sandbox, whereas they might be able then to transfer to Upland and so forth. So these are a lot of the connectivity stuff that we can move into. So these are pretty interesting. Just last but not the least, there's not the graphics are not showing. I was going to say that we've done a pretty strong partnership with a company called Anime Production ID. They've actually recently rolled out a couple of Netflix anime, including Vampires Garden and Bubbles. We actually are rolling out these NFT programs together with them currently. So here you go, Vampires of the Garden, Great Pretender, Bubbles. So these are the stuff that we are working on, in a pretty extensive range. Again, on the manga side, which we're having a party tonight, we are working closely with the Kodansha, which is one of the biggest, creative publisher in the industry in Japan. For those who are manga fans, you probably recognize these are Ghost in the Shell and also Fairy Tail. So these are just one of the earlier versions of stuff that we want to tell the creators world that, hey, this is the right way to handle the next generation opportunity. And funny enough, you know, we also recognize that in the extreme sports world, 80% of the athletes are also fandom of the community for manga and anime as well. So we are also rolling out a lot of athletes NFTs with the connectivity. Sky Brown, it's a superstar in the world, right? Including folks like Chloe Kim. We've already contracts in place with them on projects that will take this also to the next level. In terms of street culture, we have folks like Bacon that is already leading the way to tell us that a lot of these individual fashion brands that wants to be a part of their community we are here to stand by them and work on the connectedness together. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Excellent.